Last Friday, February 18th, was what was referred to as the first funnel day in the Iowa Legislature. This is a point in time where bills have to have passed out of a committee in either the House or the Senate to remain alive for the rest of the session. It's a self-imposed deadline that the legislature used to try to winnow down the number of bills that they have to consider each year and give them a little bit more focus as the session goes on. Of course, nothing's ever truly dead. It could always be brought back as an amendment to another bill, or perhaps attached to a tax bill or a spending bill, because both of those sorts of bills, the tax and spend legislation, are exempt from the funnel. We have had our focus pretty much on talent this year, talent attraction, recruitment, and retention, and have followed a number of different issues that in some way or another relate to that talent prism that we use to look at bills this year. All of the bills that we've been monitoring did pass the funnel, and so they're still alive in one way or another in one chamber or the other. For instance, we've been watching a number of child care bills this year. We haven't taken a position on most any of the bills that I'm going to talk about today, simply because we're waiting to see what final negotiated terms look like before we decide whether to support or oppose particular legislation. Anyway, so child care bills. There are 3 of those that are there, and of course we're interested in those because child care is often an impediment for people to actually join the workforce. If they're going to spend almost as much as they're going to make in a job just having their children in childcare, it doesn't make sense to a lot of those folks. And so if we can find ways to try to make childcare more accessible and more affordable, then that hopefully will bring more people into the workforce. The first of these childcare bills that we've been following deals with the ratio of kids to childcare providers. And actually that was passed by the Senate this past Monday. The bill, as it's currently being considered, would raise the number of two-year-olds that can be watched by one provider up to 7 from the current 1-to-6 ratio that's there now. And for 3-year-olds, the ratio would go to 1-to-10. One child care provider could watch 10 kids instead of the current 8. And as I say, that's already passed the Senate on February 21st. A second bill would allow child care providers to charge a family the difference between what they get from state child care assistance and what the child care provider would charge a private pay individual. Families could be asked to pay that difference under that bill, whereas now they would not be allowed to do that. The third bill would allow 16 and 17-year-olds to watch children without constant in-room supervision of an adult. This would be a change from the current practice, which of course is 18 and above, adult and above. And so 16, 17-year-olds could watch, up to 10 3-year-olds by themselves without any supervision. The second area that we've been following closely is in the area of vaccine and mask mandates, and those being banned by the state. There is a fairly wide-ranging bill that would ban governments, businesses, and schools from mandating either vaccines or masks. And this is of interest to us primarily because it tends to be a restriction on what business owners can do in their own business. And we tend to, not look favorably on those sorts of restrictions. But as say, we haven't actually taken a formal position on that bill. It is somewhat concerning, however. The governor's put forward a couple of workforce bills, or at least she calls them workforce, and they do touch on issues of workforce, so it's probably a little harsh on my part. But anyway, the first of those bills couples unemployment reform with tort reform. It would reduce from the current 26 weeks that somebody can receive unemployment, would reduce that to 16 weeks. And would also require workers to take lower paying jobs more quickly than before, where they might have been waiting for a job that would have the same wage that they had previously had. That becomes a way theoretically to get people back into the workforce quicker. And they also want to have a reemployment division in the unemployment program. The second bill has a number of various provisions in it for teacher and healthcare worker apprenticeships and more school-based learning for high schoolers, some benefits for veterans and the like. But it's primarily aimed at establishing a statewide building code for electrical, plumbing, fire safety, and energy efficiency that local governments could not raise or lower. They would have to use that particular building code. A last issue or a last set of issues that we've been watching closely, of course, is all the activity surrounding income tax reform. One thing that I am sure of, and I can tell you with a great degree of certainty, you will get an income tax cut out of this particular legislative session. What it looks like may vary, but an income tax cut will happen. The governor, the House, and the Senate are all firmly aligned in wanting to see that income tax cut happen. They want to reduce individual income taxes to a flat tax of either 4%, which is being proposed by the House and the governor, or even 3.6% that's being proposed by the Senate. All retirement income from pensions, 401ks and the like would be exempt from income tax in the future. And the Senate and the governor would also like to see the corporate income tax rate lowered. Currently, our corporate income tax rate in Iowa is the third highest in the country, higher than New York and California and most other states, all but three. The House does not have any plan to lower corporate income tax rates at this time. The Senate, in particular, would probably want to lower that rate by reducing some of the income tax credits that businesses receive as incentives for doing various things, high quality jobs, research activity, and the like. The Senate also has a plan to change the state sales tax, but this appears to be running into trouble and probably will not be a part of the final negotiated settlement. The next funnel date is on March 18th, the end of the 10th week of the session. The second funnel would require a bill to have passed a floor vote in either the House or the Senate, and then passed out of a committee on the other side. And so it's just another way to further winnow the number of bills down and put the focus on the issues that legislators feel are most important to be passed in this session. The 100th day of the session is April 19th, and that's the day that everybody quits being paid, but they can continue on, they just won't get their per diems. With many new districts developed through the redistricting process, it's likely that they will finish around that 100th day so they can get home and start campaigning for the elections this fall. We'll be providing updates regularly throughout the rest of the session. And of course, our Friday forum programs will bring you in contact with legislators and other policymakers from across the state. So stay tuned for both. Thank you for your attention.